tragedy in Kirkersville.
Deputies made entry into the nursing home, and there were 3 deceased people found in the nursing home.
And a police chief killed in the line of duty, leaving behind a young family. His flag-draped coffin escorted by his brothers in blue.
My understanding, he's got 6 children, 1 on the way, 36 years old.
And the Kirkersville school put on lockdown, parents rushing to find their children.
It was scary because I just put my kid on the bus and I didn't know where he was going.
How a school district took quick action, evacuating hundreds of students to safety.
It's a real hard day. It's a hard day for all of us. The deputies that arrived on the scene and pulled him to safety, if you will, they're having a hard time.
Next, team coverage as the community mourns and the investigation begins.
Tragedy in Kirkersville. Authorities are still looking for the motive behind shootings this morning in a small village just east of Columbus.
Now, the shooting spilled into a nursing home and left 4 people, including a police chief and the gunman, dead.
This story is unfolding in Kirkersville. Multiple locations involved, starting with Pine Kirk Care Center, where police say the gunman originally opened fire. Officers were also investigating a scene at a nearby funeral home. Kirkersville Elementary was locked down and later closed because of the shooting as well. Each location less than a mile from the next.
The scene started shortly after 7 a.m. with a 911 caller reporting a man with a gun.
The police chief was the first to respond, and from there the situation escalated. Tonight, NBC4 has team coverage in Kirkersville. Elise Changari has community reaction, and NBC4's Rick Reitzel is learning more about the 2 nursing home employees who were killed.
Our Ted Hart has details on the police chief who made the ultimate sacrifice this morning. But first, our team coverage starts with Rob Sneed in Kirkersville with the latest on the investigation. Rob?
Well, Mark, right now, authorities are going to be out here for some time. As you can see, this is one of 2 scenes that we're looking at. You can see they have East Main Street still blocked off. They're out here still lifting evidence, collecting evidence from the scene. But there's another scene now. That's at the suspect's home. They say they are searching a car. He lives in Utica. They said that they're searching 2 cars, as a matter of fact. That car and another car that was found at the Flying J truck stop just about a mile up the road. Now, if you listen to the 911 calls, it gives a chilling picture of just how terrifying it was for everyone involved.
Sir, where is our officer shot?
You can hear the 911 dispatcher trying to understand the complete chaos that erupted in the small town of Kirkersville. Authorities say a man entered a nursing home facility in Kirkersville this morning and fired shots. It was just inches away from Brian Milam's home.
I was on the phone talking to my friend and drinking coffee, and I heard it sound like a gunshot.
He ran outside to see what was going on.
And then a few minutes later, I heard 2 more shots.
Licking County Sheriff Randy Thorpe says shots were fired at the Kirk Care Center, a nursing home facility. They say Kirkersville Police Chief Eric DeSario responded to the scene after hearing that the man had a gun. His last communication with dispatchers said he had the subject in sight. Moments later, authorities arrived on the scene.
They were running through the yard with their guns drawn everywhere. They ran down the alley. They were running out back there. I mean, they were running everywhere around here.
As Teresa Pyle and her family ran upstairs to hide, authorities say they found the 36-year-old police chief dead on the street. They also found the gunman and 2 other employees dead inside of the nursing home. Nearby schools went under lockdown and eventually closed. East Main Street is also closed for the moment and is expected to be closed for a while. Authorities had to transport residents of the nursing home to a safe location, while others in the community just watched and cried. Now, authorities also tell me prior to the shooting of this officer, the gunman held 2 people hostages in a wooded area next to this facility. Of course, we will continue to stay out here and bring you the latest information as we get it. For now, I'm reporting live. Rob Sneed, NBC4. We will continue our team coverage with Ted Hart.
Right, Rob. And, you know, the Kirkersville Police Department operates with, it's a pretty small operation. They've got 2 police cruisers and a police chief, and then a kind of a fluctuating number of auxiliary officers who serve as well. Stephen Eric DeSario, the new chief, was so new to the job and really new to Kirkersville that most people we talked to today said they didn't even know him.
Shocking. Sad. I mean, I don't know what else to say. It's kind of, you move out here because it's small town and then have this happen. It's sad.
Rachel Parman, like other residents here, finds it hard to believe that the town's young police chief was murdered. Parman met Chief DeSario yesterday for the first time when he pulled her over for speeding.
He was nice, though. He was polite to me. Told me to slow down, kind of scolded me because I live here. Said you should know better.
My understanding, he's got 6 children, one on the way, 36 years old.
The sheriff said Chief Desario had only been on the job for about 3 weeks. Desario lived in Pataskala and had previously worked as a manager with Turkey Hill. And his employment record in law enforcement shows that Chief Desario had pretty limited experience. According to state records, he worked part-time for the Bryce Police Department for about a month, then part-time for Millersport for about 6 months, and then about a month as a reserve officer with Lithopolis. All of that, about 8 months in total, was back in 2012 and 2013, and then he started on the job here last month. Back to you guys.
All right, Ted, thank you. We appreciate that. An outpouring of support on social media for the victims, their families, and the law enforcement community. Governor John Kasich asked for prayers for the family of Chief Desario, and Senators Rob Portman as well as Senator Sherrod Brown extended their condolences as well. And you, our viewers, shared your thoughts and your prayers online for the victims' families and the people of Kirkersville. And that is where we find NBC4's Elise Chengari. She has reaction now from the people of Kirkersville.
Yes, a small town of just over 500 people. As soon as they heard what happened, business owners put their flags at half-staff. The shooting happened across the street from Edna Grove's carpet store.
Oh, it's horrible. Just horrible. It's earth-shattering.
She's still in shock, and she's sad for the police chief, Eric Desario's wife, and 6 children.
The one on the way, isn't it? Oh, just so sad for her. I said all we could do is just to pray for her, you know, and for those little kids.
A memorial now sits at the front of the Kirkersville police station.
Pretty shocking, you know, that anybody got killed here in this town. It's a very peaceful, quiet town. Everybody knows everybody, and you know, we all try to take care of each other. Interesting to cut down that time of life, you know, it's tough.
Teresa Pyle was brought to tears when she first heard the news.
We all look out for each other, and I mean, it's a good place to live, and 3 weeks on the job, it is really sad.
Police Chief Desario had been working here for 3 weeks, and neighbors say they wish they had the chance to get to know him better. Live here in Kirkersville, Elise Chengari, NBC4.
Elise, thank you. Right now, we're waiting for investigators to release the names of the 2 victims shot to death at the Pine Kirk Care Center. NBC4's Rick Reitzel spoke with the nursing home's owner. He joins us live with more. Rick?
Well, Mark, Tom Rosser, the business owner, has owned that business, that nursing business, for a long time, and says those 2 employees of his were shot dead by the boyfriend of one of the nurses.
Horrible, absolutely horrible. Tragic situation.
Rosser says the 24 patients housed here are unable to be independent because of physical or mental disabilities.
Yeah, absolutely horrendous impact on everybody. It didn't last long, so there were a number of residents who weren't even aware of what was going on.
He says the 2 nurses killed worked here, one for 4 years, the other for 2.
I've known these people for a long time, so even before they worked here, and they represent people that I've known for a long time. So absolutely, this is a terrible emotional fact. And
Samantha Harris and her mom both worked here also. She says her mom texted just after her shift started at 7 in the morning.
Telling him that there was a shooter inside of our work and she was hiding in a closet and to call 911.
Her mother was not injured in the shooting. Rosser said the shooter was found dead inside the nurse's station. Now, we are not naming the shooter involved in this until authorities do. Live here in Kirkersville, Rick Reitzel, NBC4.
We continue to follow the breaking news, a shooting spree in Kirkersville. Multiple people dead there, including a police chief. So here's what we know so far. 2 workers at a nursing home were shot and killed. Their names have not been released, but the nursing home owner says the gunman was a boyfriend of one of those victims. The gunman took his own life, we're told. The police chief who was killed is 36-year-old Stephen Eric Desario. We're told he had 6 children and a 7th on the way.
Now, the tragedy in Kirkersville also creating some terrifying moments for parents. This after a nearby school was put on lockdown and then evacuated. And for a brief time, parents didn't know if their child was okay.
It was scary because I just put my kid on the bus and I didn't know where he was going.
Hundreds of moms and dads getting a phone call no parent wants to get.
That was a little alarming because all schools are locked down.
Their child's school on lockdown because of an active shooter. The roughly 600 kids at Kirkersville Elementary were on lockdown, then evacuated to nearby Watkins Middle School, where parents and kids were eventually reunited.
That's what you train for, you know, you want it to work, and it seems like it's working very smooth.
No children were hurt, but parents in Licking County definitely hugging their kids a little closer tonight.
Now, breaking news from NBC4.
We always look at Licking County as a pretty safe community, and we see these tragic events happen all over the country, and to have it hit close to home like this is just unbelievable.
We continue to follow the tragedy in Kirkersville tonight. 3 people shot dead, including the police chief. Investigators say the gunman also took his own life. It's been a hard and sad day for the small village in Licking County, and there are still a lot of unanswered questions tonight. We do want to show you some footage from Chopper 4 right now, where police are searching a house in Utica this afternoon. Now, investigators say the suspect in the fatal shooting of the Kirkersville police chief and 2 nursing home workers is from Utica. Now, police also saying they were actively searching the suspect's home. This house has been listed as the suspect's home on police and court documents as recently as this past March. Now, the suspected shooter is not being identified by police or investigators just yet, but we are learning more about him from his family. NBC4's Sean Lanier has been working to learn more. He's live now with our continuing coverage. Sean?
Well, investigators just told me that they should have an update on the identity on that shooter, but I talked with a family member who told me that the shooter is their cousin, and they believe that his name is Thomas Hartless. They said that is the shooter. Of course, we are learning all of this from a family member who claims to be the cousin. They did not want to go on camera, but they did tell me that Hartless did not live here in town, but his girlfriend worked at the nursing home where this shooting happened. While she was not able to confirm a clear motive, she says she does believe that this stemmed from a domestic dispute. Again, we are working to confirm all of this from investigators. I just spoke with the Licking County coroner, and he said he is waiting for family to get out here so that they can release the identity of not only the shooter but the other 2 victims inside, and we'll of course update you once we get that information.
Our coverage of the deadly shootings in Kirkersville will continue as part of this investigation has moved to Utica. Investigators are searching a house there connected to the suspected shooter. NBC4's Courtney Yoon just got there, and she is live for us with an update. Courtney?
Well, Colleen, we have confirmed the suspected shooter's name as 43-year-old Thomas Hartless through a family member. And according to court documents and recent police reports, this is his home here in Utica, where BCI, the Licking County Sheriff's Office, and Utica Police are currently investigating. According to Attorney General Mike DeWine, officers are holding the suspect's home right now. And here's a mugshot of Thomas Hartless. We also found out some information on his criminal past. In 2010, Hartless was sentenced to 15 months in prison after pleading guilty to charges of aggravated assault and aggravated menacing. He originally faced kidnapping and felonious assault charges in those cases. After serving 8 months in prison, Hartless was granted a judicial release and placed on community control for 3 years. Hartless was recently released from the Licking County Jail after being charged with domestic violence and criminal damaging and endangering, according to court records. He was sentenced in this most recent case on March 23rd. Hartless was sentenced to 90 days in jail, but was released on April 19th. If he had served the full sentence, he might still be behind bars today. A family member who did not want to go on camera told us that Hartless' girlfriend worked at the nursing home where the shooting happened today, and we'll keep you updated here at his home as this scene unfolds. Live in Utica, Courtney Yoon, NBC4.